Welcome back to the Cobra Trading Channel, everyone, where we focus on people, passion, and platforms. I'm Alex Bustos, and today we have a special guest episode. We're bringing Tim Grittani to share with you why it's so important to focus on your risk management and scale down.
Hello everyone, my name is Tim Grittani. First of all, let me just say thank you to Cobra Trading for having me on the show. Now, Cobra Trading, they are fantastic at short sell locates. So I think that as primarily a short seller, one of the most useful things I can talk about is my risk management, because that is such a huge part of short selling. How many short sellers do you hear of who take some big catastrophic loss after months of doing well and their career is over? Here are some of the steps that I took to try to make sure that that wasn't me, especially after going through a period of struggles where I really was playing with fire. I mean, when I first transitioned from trading more OTC stocks to listed stocks, I was a bit uncomfortable with the choppiness. There were a lot more extreme and frequent of parabolic moves where the stock, it just obviously didn't belong where it was. Fundamentals, it's not too hard to look at a company and see that they're hemorrhaging money and that they do not belong up 500% or some crazy extended number like that. But it's very easy to fall into a trap where the fundamentals suck you in with conviction. Oh, the company doesn't belong here. And then the squeeze can just keep going far beyond what you ever imagined possible. Now, I got into a habit early in my career with short selling these listed stocks, where I would short and keep adding as it went against me because it was choppy, it was hard to time. That was kind of my lazy solution. And there were a lot of cases where I would be in trouble. I'd be down a significant amount of money unrealized, and the stock is continuing to go against me and I'm still adding. And then eventually I would be right and the stock would fall apart. And usually, I wasn't making a lot of money from these, but it was just damage control. And I was getting out for small gains, small losses, break even, but I would still feel smart because I didn't panic out at the top of the spike. I didn't take that large unrealized loss. I was smart. I waited and held. I had diamond hands, as they're saying these days. It really was setting me up for bigger failures down the road, because that may work 90, 95% of the time, but those outliers still exist, those black swan stocks. And thank goodness that back then the black swans were not anything like they are now. Now, I mean, gosh, they're even more extreme. And no question about it, I'd been looking at 7-figure losses if I'd been trying these methods on some of these squeezes we see these days. Now, back then, the worst hit I ever took was $290,000. And it was basically the exact same thing we were just talking about, where I was just adding as it went against me. And eventually I reached my pain threshold and I cut the loss. I did this multiple times. That 290,000 was the worst of it, but there were 3 or 4 6-figure losses. There were plenty of losses that were $30, $40, $50,000. I'd be wiping out a week or two of work in one bad trade. And I did this for months and it got so frustrated because I felt like I was out of control. I wasn't being disciplined. I just couldn't figure out how this was who I became as a trader. So let me just share the couple of things that I did that really, really helped me fix this and get my risk management back on track. First thing is that I sized down for a while. I basically put myself in timeout. I said I have to earn my right back to trading large size. So I sized way down, and instead of focusing on making good money for the week, I'd focus on good discipline for the week. I had a mistake journal where I would tally how many times I got stubborn, how many times I added to a stock that was outside of my plan, things like that. Basically, it was all about accountability. And once I had earned the right, I would then trade larger again. The second thing though, and this was probably the most important thing I took out of the process in fixing myself, was what became my golden rule as a short seller. Now, when I enter any trade, the first thing I always know before I even take the shares, where am I going to stop out? What is the point on the chart where I would say, hey, this is no longer working? And usually on a short seller side, that's, for me, it's high a day, or maybe it's a daily resistance level that I want to cut if the stock breaks past it. In a lot of cases, I wasn't doing that. Now, the golden rule, what I realized all my big losses had in common was that I was adding outside of my risk. It was that fighting process that was taking a bad situation and really making it, potentially catastrophic, because my size would be ballooning as the stock went against me. And that's really not what I wanted. So the golden rule became that if a stock surpassed my stop out point and I was still in, I was being stubborn, I would on no circumstances be allowed to add any more shares. Now, the main thing that this accomplished was that it would just force my size to stay in control. No matter how confident I was or how much conviction I had, I wasn't allowed to add because I had gotten stubborn. And you know what? There were some times where that definitely cost me money, but there were other times where I would have had that high conviction and still been wrong and still been putting those ads on. So all of a sudden, my size stopped ballooning out of control, and I was only dealing with just a stubborn situation rather than a situation where I was adding and putting way too much of my account on the line. The second thing this accomplished is that it was really frustrating to be in a situation where I thought I saw a stock topping for real. I had a stubborn bag in my account and I wasn't allowed to put on more shares. I did not like that. So it actually really helped with my discipline because I knew that if I got stubborn, I would have to follow that rule and not be allowed to add. So the solution, don't be stubborn. So all of a sudden, loss cutting became much, much easier. I was holding myself accountable. I was taking the losses off as my stop was hit. And now it's very rare for me to even be in a stubborn situation in the first place. But in the cases where it does happen, I'm not adding, I'm not making it just really, really scary. So those are a couple of things, very easy fixes. But it did take a while, it takes a while to kind of retrain the brain after months of bad habits. But I worked on it, I got there, and I became a much, much better trader after going through this. Hopefully this helps some of you guys. And once again, thank you, Cobra, for having me on.
Tim Grittani, I have to agree with you 100%, man. I love that you downsized and you focused on disciplined trades for an entire month so you can get back on the horse. And that's something that I had to do for quite a bit of time when I was coming up to find my own consistency. So I know it's great advice, and I hope all of you understand what he's trying to tell you. And if not, go rewatch that clip because I'm telling you, you'll learn a lot from what he had to say. And if you have any questions for any of us here at Cobra Trading, feel free to reach out to us on our website and click the live chat feature, and we'll be happy to help you.